Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is good news. Trump is going to return, and the Federal Reserve will be no more, and a sign that the end really is near. Okay, first of all, let me just say, I think that what I'm about to say today is the reason God told me a couple of months ago to cut my overhead, and I did, and don't advertise, and I didn't. Okay, so this comes to us from Barry Wunsch, June 12, 2024. I was immediately taken into the Spirit in the United States Federal Reserve server room. It was bright, very well lit, and it had rows of racking and servers humming along. I watched as a team of highly specialized techs worked behind the servers. I could see them, but they were mostly transparent. I knew that they each were connected to the system, some on the inside and more from the outside, but all were working on the same project. They were tracing and identifying connections from other nations, banks, stock exchanges, and Wall Street. Now, why is that important? I think, and I don't have a word on this. I don't have anything. I'm just guessing. My opinion. I think that the reason the stock market and Standard & Poor's and all of that sort of stuff is at record highs because they're about to crash it. And they will crash it in a way to where the evil elite make lots and lots of money and everybody else loses lots and lots of money. So, can I tell you to get out of your stock? No, I can't. Can I tell you to get out of the banks? No, I can't give financial advice. But hopefully if you're hearing from the Spirit, you are already making those kind of changes. They were preparing to cut each line off from this old server. Now look at this. I just talked about this, I think it was 2 programs ago. Cut it off from the old server for a new system that was very soon to be fired up. And I think that's what the White Hat banker was referring to, though he couldn't say it. These Federal Reserve servers were at a maximum capacity and were not going to last much longer. The system was in trouble and on the verge of a fatal crash. This team was diligently working behind the scenes, tracing each line, each connection into the system, and preparing for a changeover from the old system, the old SWIFT system, to the new SIPS system. This system was outdated, had served its purpose for a time, but now was done. There was a new system ready to go to replace this old server. It was a quantum system. I just talked about this 2 programs ago. Like nothing ever seen before. Years in development and ready to roll out. It was smaller and compact, lightning speed, faster than anything before. Now remember, Proverbs 13:22 says, the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. It only says it once, but I don't think it's fulfilled in the millennium. I think it is filled before Jesus returns at the end. Let's go on. I saw a case opened, and inside this core looked like the most perfect diamond, crystal clear and bright. It reflected and radiated light in a way I had never seen. The light bursting out of it was as bright as the sun. This was new and different technology. As the other guy said, this is alien technology. And since there are really no aliens, they're really the fallen ones that fell, 1/3 of them fell, okay? So this is really the devil technology. As I said before, what he has done is taken over the financial system, then he corrupts and destroys the old system, and he brings in a new system. That new system is going to be run by the Antichrist so that no one can buy or sell save he had the mark of the name of the beast or the number of his name. This is bringing in that system, and I think for a while, it will be good. I think it will be started up by and with the help of the good guys. But of course, we know prophecy says the devil takes over and it turns dark, it turns bad. Okay, let's go back. This was new and different technology. This was the future. I was then taken out of the server room. As I walked down the hallway, conversations were loud, passionate, and animated. The Federal Reserve had been in trouble before, but never this bad. Agents were pleading with those they were talking to, trying to hold it together with all they could. The men and women working the phones in a state of panic. And right now, of course, the Democrats are in a state of panic. So that kind of fits too, doesn't it? It had suddenly gotten real. This was not like anything they'd faced before. They were negotiating here and there with banks, Wall Street, stock exchanges. So what does that tell you? It's about to fall. Banks, Wall Street, stock exchanges. I can't tell you to get your money out of banks, Wall Street, or stock exchanges. I can't give financial advice. But hopefully you get the hint here, okay? They were negotiating here and there with banks, Wall Street, stock exchanges in the USA and abroad, trying to hold things together. But this time it was different. There was a room full of agents working the phones, speaking foreign languages, explaining things, and negotiating as hard as they could to other nations and governments, foreign investors, stakeholders, trying to navigate the storm. What did Shane Warren tell us was coming? A storm, a financial storm. This, in my opinion, is the financial storm. Now remember, Shane was told what starts it is when they start selling oil and another currency other than the dollar, which started June 9th of 2024. This fits, doesn't it? See, and remember Chris Reed said that there's a perfect storm coming. Okay, a perfect storm, my definition, is normally 3 to 4 bad events all hitting at once. Bingo. Okay, the Dems are in panic. The Federal Reserve is in panic. There's all kinds of wars going on. All right, let's go on. As I continued down the hallway, there were agents dealing with government agencies going through reams of reports, searching for ways and places to cut because there just wasn't enough to go around the way things were. Others were prepping for the next steps because when it goes down, how to deal with the fallout. Okay, so I think this is the reason God told me don't spend any extra money. This is not the time to expand. This is not the time to advertise. This is the time to crawl in a hole and pull in the door after you, bat down hatches, and get ready to weather the storm. A little further down the hall was another meeting, and there was a group of political leaders being briefed as to what was on the verge of happening and what the potential ramifications were going to be. The room was very somber. Emotions and tensions were running high. It was a powder keg ready to blow. Another room had a team plotting how they could spin this crash in such a way to blame Trump and the Republicans, when it was clear in their briefing discussions the Democrats themselves were to blame, and they knew it. They had to try to spin their way out of it because they would not be able to hide it any longer. Everything was going to be exposed. Remember, the white hat banker told me he can't tell me what's going to happen or who's going to say it, but he said something big is going to happen before the end of the year. My guess? Right there. I believe that's what he's talking about. There was a set of locked security glass doors at the end of the hallway where there was a group of journalists standing with cameras and microphones in hand, now look, preparing to attack with questions. That's what they do when something is happening they don't like. This was going to be historic. Major breaking big news. Is this the catastrophe that we've all been watching for? Holy Spirit then spoke to me. Barry, tell my people it is time for the takedown, and it is time for the wealth transfer to be released. It is time to pull the plug on the most corrupt system of all time. And those who think they control it. They have raped and pillaged my people for far too long. They have held my people in slavery. Listen to that. Let me read that again. I'm going to show you that in Scripture in just a second. They have held my people in slavery, and the day is upon you for freedom. Watch as I dismantle this system that has held my people in bondage. See, I think that's the reason he told me to lighten the load. I think that's the reason he told me don't expand, in other words, don't spend any money right now that you don't have to spend. Now is the time to get prepared for, well, until, according to what Chris Reed says, until about July 25. In other words, the storm is about to hit. Could it be that that storm rages and we don't get any peace until July 25? All right, let's go on. What have I started? What I have started cannot be stopped. It is time to remove those who have controlled the purse strings, and it is time to take back the purse. Now, look at this in the red. Never again shall it be in their hands. Now, I don't think it's going to be in the Federal Reserve hands again. I don't think it's going to be in the 12 banking people's hands again. I think it will briefly be in the hands of the good guys. I said briefly. But then the Antichrist is going to take over. In other words, that's above the 12 international banking families, the Rothschilds and what have you. In other words, that's the reason it's never going to be in their hands again. Because the Antichrist is going to take it over, and he's going to ride that thing until Jesus returns to stop it. It'll never be in their hands again, for all that was gained through unrighteous means shall be returned 100-fold to my people. We've heard about that too. I will see to it that justice is served, and slave masters shall be apprehended and brought to justice. Is that the internal revolution? Is that what could be about ready to happen? The roundup is about to begin. They will turn on one another, left, right, and center, to try and save themselves, but in the end, justice will be served to all. Watch as I pull the clinch pin that they've held and protected at all costs. They're about to lose all control. Okay, with this thing with Biden, I can understand this now, okay? They're about to lose all control. I'm taking it out of their hands. It will be there today and gone tomorrow. That's what David Phillips saw. That's what Byron Searle saw. In other words, when this financial thing hits, it's like instant. Jason Meeks, okay, pull that $20 out of the ATM. Next thing, it had gone sky high. In other words, there's no warning for this. It's boom. It's just like that. It hits. Hits hard, fast, and everybody is all the same all at once. The day that they have dreaded is upon them. Barry, tell my people, do not fear. Do not be afraid. For even though it may appear like the end is near, a new day is dawning. That's right. I think it's a new day that is here briefly. Pastor Massey said about 6 months. Okay, in other words, there's about 6 months of good times. Draw together and draw unto me, for as you remain in me. Now, let me read something from the scriptures, then we'll go back to what Barry said. James 5, go to now, you rich men. This is, I think, your world rulers, your Molochs, your deep state, your Khazarian mafia, whatever you want to call them. Go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. This is not talking about the millennium. This is not talking about after Jesus returns. Your riches are corrupted, your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Now that is talking about when Jesus returns. You have heaped treasure together for the last days. That's not just gold and silver, but that's also room after room after room of food and water and supplies, because they plan to live under the ground, and they plan to live until the earth is habitable again on the surface. They don't believe Jesus is going to return and make a new heaven and a new earth, as we know he is going to. Behold, the hire of the laborers, that's us, who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, things like the IRS, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of the Sabbath. You have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. You have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. You have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth. Here he is not talking about the coming of the Lord. He's saying be patient until the Lord comes. In other words, he's about to say this is going to happen near the very end, but he's not talking about the end. He's likening it unto the end. Let me read it again. Be patient, therefore. He's telling us, be patient. Look I got this thing, okay? Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husbandman waiteth or he's saying, as the husband, as he waits for the precious fruit for the very end, he's telling us, wait for this to happen, okay? As the husbandman waited for the precious fruit of the earth, and hath long patience for it until he receive the early and the latter rain, be ye also. Okay, so he's not talking about the return of Jesus. He's saying, wait, because this great turnaround he is going to bring. But unfortunately, it's only going to be briefly. But have patience for it. Be ye also patient. Establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord draweth nigh. It's not the coming of the Lord, but he's saying it draws nigh. Now, let's go on to the next one. Now, here's another one, again from Barry Wunsch. A screen opened up before me. Instantly, I was watching this monitor screen that had opened up in real time as I was driving. I was at a meeting in Iran, approximately 30 delegates there. There were leaders and ambassadors from several nations that gathered for talks. The new leader of Iran sat on the seat of authority there in the center table. He was tough as nails. He made the other previous Iranian leaders look like Boy Scouts. He was on the offensive. He was not fooling around, nor was he wasting time. He was beyond any sort of reasoning. His mind, soul, and spirit had made the decision to step things up and notch things up. He listened to those trying to talk to him down, and clearly he would have none of it. In fact, the mere attempt to negotiate peacefully and reasonably with him seemed to increase his anger and resolve to fight even harder against Israel and the Western civilization as we know it. He would listen to what they had to say and then let them have it with both barrels, justifying the path of action and intentions that he intended to carry out. He was shredding everyone that disagreed with him. He felt it was his duty to go after Israel and the West in ways those before him hadn't. He clearly wanted to see them annihilated. He was not going to look or act like a weak leader. He was being demonically driven with a spirit of murder and death through a principality. My assessment was that he was not in his right mind. I also saw those from North Korea, Russia, working together to strike back at the USA, Israel, and NATO. They had assets and positions ready to move forward in the right moment. They were a phone call away from pulling the trigger to get things rolling. I saw terrorist groups and cells on standby waiting for the call to proceed. I was then taken to meetings in the USA. The current Biden administration was in full meltdown. With every decision and move they made, things got worse. Deeper into the quicksand they went. It is at this point of no return for them. They saw that they were done. It was clear that they had no ruling authority any longer, and they were acutely aware of it. The best way I could describe it was what I saw was they were evaluating the last-ditch attempt to fight with all that they had left in them to do everything possible to block or take out President Trump by whatever means possible. I was again taken in the spirit over America the Beautiful, and as I covered the land, people were gathering, big gatherings. In other words, July the 4th. Big gatherings, little gatherings, and everything in between, but the tone was the same, and that was they were standing for the Lord, His justice, and allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I realized what I was seeing before my eyes was the rebirthing. Look at this, look at this. How many times have we heard this? The rebirthing of the Republic of the United States of America. How do you know that? Okay. How do I say this? I have known for several years now that that is the name of the new republic. I have known, and I'm shocked to see that this guy got this in a dream. That's the reason I thought, oh, yeah, I know this is real. I got to put this out, because very few people know that's the new name, the Republic of the United States of America. That's the new name. It's not going to be called the United States of America anymore. It's the United States, the all capital United States of America that was formed in 17 something. Now, I'm not talking about 1776. I'm talking about, it was like 1817 or something. Anyway, it's when it changed from upper lower United States of America to all caps. That's when it became a corporation owned by the international bankers. But the new name, he got it right, is Republic of the United States of America. And I don't think Trump will be president. I think he will be commander-in-chief. I think the prophecies say he will be a king. Like Nebuchadnezzar, whom he would he slew, whom he would he kept alive, whom he would he lifted up, whom he would he put down. Total, unquestioned power. I think it's very interesting the Supreme Court just gave him that power. But anyway, let's go on. So I realized what I was seeing before my eyes was the rebirthing, not rebirthing, the new forming should be, of the Republic of the United States of America coming into godly, biblical kingdom governance for the nation. Things as we've known them are coming to an end. I was taken behind a curtain of a very large stage where President Donald John Trump was surrounded by family, friends, generals, colleagues, and heavy security. The moment was nearly at hand for all to see the greatest victory of light over darkness America has ever seen. You remember that earlier this same guy saw the headline, Victory. Donald John Trump sweeps the nation. And I think that's what's about to happen. He's about to sweep the nation. I think we're about to see the greatest victory in political history if the internal revolution doesn't start first, and if there is an election. The moment was nearly at hand for all to see the greatest victory of light over darkness America has ever seen. President Donald J. Trump would soon take center stage. This would clearly impact not only America, the beautiful, but it would impact the nations for the glory of God. Freedom was at hand. So let me remind you, we now have 34 prophecies saying suitcase nukes, and for that, I'll send you to empshield.com. Get one of these for your car and your home. Second, we have 17 prophecies say a meteor is going to cause a tsunami and an earthquake. For that, I'll send you to josephkitchen.com, promo code Prophecy Club. And we have 14 prophecies saying there's going to be a food shortage. Again, josephkitchen.com. 11 say the dollar's going to fall, and apparently it is at the door. And for that, I'll send you to prophecyclubgold.com or 800-200-GOLD or prophecyclubbar.com to get you some of these so you can put it in your billfold, 844-771-1776. And 7 say a surprise Russian nuclear attack is going to destroy America in 1 hour. In 2021, I started making bread. And long story short is I believe God showed me that wheat is God's famine food, just like it was famine food back in the 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine, days of Pharaoh and Joseph. And I believe that that's what God has planned to feed his people. And you get it by going to josephskitchen.com. 3 steps. First, you want to get a machine package. Second, you want to order 6 ingredients and watch some videos, download the recipes to be able to make the bread. josephskitchen.com. Most of your long-time storage food, emergency food, all of that, typically are talking $9,000, $10,000 to feed one person for a year. Joseph Kitchen can show you how to do it for around $1,000 a person, and your kids will actually eat it, and it's actually good for you. Here's some bread that I made. In my case, I lost weight, lowered my blood pressure, gives me more energy. I eat a morning, slice in the morning, slice in the afternoon. Always a slice before I go play racquetball. Go check it out, josephskitchen.com. And right now, Joseph Kitchen has a summer blowout going on. They're offering red wheat at half price. Basically, buy 1 pail, get 1 pail free. Buy 1 pail, get 1 pail free of red wheat. josephkitchen.com. If you don't want to lose your life's savings, if you have an IRA or a 401k, the thing to do is call 800-200-GOLD. 800-200-GOLD. These folks are Christians, and they specialize in helping people not lose their life savings in the event of a stock market crash and things like that. Look, most of the 401ks, most of the IRAs are in paper, backed by paper. And as Lindsey Williams says, if it's in paper, it's worth the paper it's written on. You can lose it all. 1-800-200-GOLD. 800-200-GOLD. Hey, give them a call. Doesn't hurt. Doesn't cost you anything. See if they can give you some good advice. Okay, the very best offer we have ever had at the Prophecy Club is 40 books for a gift of $100. That is How Pre-Trib Won, Tribulation Secrets in Daniel, God's Warnings to America, Miss the Mark, and The Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy. I'll explain. As I've said many times, in 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation. I got 30 revelations, 2 visions, and an audible voice. God showed me a secret door, the word first fruits, which is found in Leviticus and also Revelation, that links the feasts to the prophecies of Revelation. And perhaps for the first time, Revelation can be understood. One prophetic word said, there's a lock. I put over a word in the book of Revelation. I'm going to open it to you. It will turn many books written on the end time message into obsolete books. That's this book. Secondly, I put together a collection of the very best prophecies from 32 years in Bible prophecy: Dimitri Duduman, Michael Boldale, Leslie Johnson, Henry Groover, Shane Warren, Terry Bennett, Maurice Sklar, Augusto Perez, Doug Metzger, Bree Keaton, and more in God's Warnings to America. Also, how do you talk to people about the mark of the beast, especially if they worship another god? Well, simple way is give them this book. It's a quick read. Takes about 3 hours to read it. But if they'll read 2 or 3 pages, they'll probably read the book. And if they read the book, they will never take the mark of the beast. It explains both the mark of the beast and also the number of the name, and it has these pictures in the book. Finally, How Pre-Trib Won. This book explains the truth about the rapture. It gives 4 foundations for the real truth about the rapture. It also answers 25 pre-trib questions, 1 for $20, each one of these typically, but don't do that. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets. The very best deal is go to prophecyclub.com and get the entire 40-book set for $100. I didn't cover every verse in the book of Daniel, didn't need to. I just covered the verses that has to do with us end-time saints. And it's called Tribulation Secrets in Daniel, 1 for $20, 10 for $30, 20 for $50 at prophecyclub.com.